just wanted to tell you a little bit about the medicine sessions that we do, just so that you know what to expect. It normally happens in week 4, and what we do is it's a group session talking generally about medicines. Not just medicines that are prescribed, but things you might buy over the counter, herbal medicines, all sorts of things. You don't have to go into details about your own medicines, we just talk generally about it and share whatever you like in that group session. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. I thought really I wanted to say why we do it, and the reason we've started to approach medicines in this way. My colleagues and I are either nurse prescribers or pharmacists. So there's myself, who's a nurse prescriber, worked in general and mental health, Elaine, who's a senior experienced pharmacist, Mike, who's a nurse prescriber who's worked in acute care as well and still works in acute care. So we're so-called experts, but actually you're the experts, and that's what we want to get out of these sessions. And the reason why this is working well and why it feels important is that we know that statistically 50% of people don't take their medicines as prescribed, and that isn't a group of people or a certain illness, it's all of us. I've certainly done it. You get a prescription from the doctor and you think, well, I'm not taking that. But in my case, I didn't bother going back and tell them I wasn't taking it. So we know that sometimes things change and we don't take them as prescribed. Sometimes because we don't want to, and sometimes because we've not read the instructions, not understood the instructions, because sometimes they can be incomplete or a bit hard to understand. So what we want to do in the session is give you information on where you can find out about what your medicines are for and talk about that. Really, you broaden it out. It's not just about prescribed medicines. We'll use this diagram here to talk about other things that are actually medicines that you can, for example, energy drinks. They contain caffeine. Alcohol obviously affects medicines. Smoking affects medicines. Herbal medicines can be quite powerful, and we don't take a position to say that's wrong. We want to give you the best information on everything. And giving you this time, I think, counters the fact that another statistic, sorry, because I'm an NHS background, I've no statistics. If you've got a long-term condition, or as a lot of us have more than one long-term condition, you get about 2% of your time with a clinical person. That's not very long to explain to them how it's working for you and to get all that information across. So what we do, there's 2 bits to what we do. There's the group session where we look at your medicines, answer your questions, and one of the bits of feedback we've had about this is that although we know there's certain things we want to tell you, we'll be geared by what you ask, and people have said that that's really helpful. So we're not just coming there saying, here's the first thing, this is the second thing, and giving you our agenda. We want to do a bit of myth busting as well and talk about things that you're worried about medicines, and there's certain things that come up every time. Talk a bit more about herbal medicines, give you a little bit of information to take away on the day and some access to online resources, or if you don't have a computer, we've got a text line and you can ask us questions about medicines. After we've done that session, which is on week 4, we are able to see you on a one-to-one basis, and this is optional. You might not take any medicine, so you might not want to do that, or you might be perfectly happy, and that's really good if you are. We offer you a one-to-one session with 2 people, Mike, Elaine and myself, two of us, where it's a guided conversation. You can talk, this is confidential, and you can talk about your medicines, and we'll give you sources of information and advice on how to talk to your GP or certain things. It's not a clinical session, it's an advice session. A one-to-one session where we can talk through your medicines, and we don't take any notes. We give you a list of things that you may want to talk to your GP or whoever prescribes your medicines about. And it's not telling them what to do, it's giving you and your GP more information on possible options, or we might pick up that there's something about your medicine that is you hadn't really followed the instructions, or the instructions have changed, and we can signpost you, and we often say to people, well, you can go to a pharmacist and ask that if we can't answer it at the time. So there's 2 levels. There's really, we can give you basic information that supports you to take the medicines, and we can give you some pointers to have a really good conversation with your GP or whoever it is who's prescribing your medicines, and any issues around that, and you take the notes away.